got League of Legends Anonymous coming at you right now in your ear holes. It's me, your host, Wise Papa Smurf. You may notice that I'm wearing blue light reflective glasses because my fucking eyes hurt right now. So, looking hot like a sexy old accountant. Coming at your dollars, making sure you paid all of your deductions and whatever. Anyway, with me as well is Jinsos. What's up,
That
Jinsos?
introduction reminded me why I haven't been on the podcast in so long.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
long cooldown.
Is that
Very
why?
long cooldown.
Because I could do better. I could write intros that are more flattering to you if you ever get off your dead ass and get on the podcast again.
That's true.
I would.
Everybody
love to
else
do
is
that.
like, I have a baby that, sleeps and I can't do it because of the newborn baby. And, other people are like, it's 5 a.m. in Germany. And Jinsos is like, it's a Wednesday.
Well, today is Thursday, and look who's
I
here.
know, yeah, check it out. But
Yeah.
why is it that you can't come on a Wednesday again?
I
What's
work
the?
on Wednesdays, man. From
Oh, okay.
6 to 8:30.
Yeah, what's going on with your weekends? Too,
And
man?
remind me again, who's your employer?
My church.
You're
I
not
say hey to people.
self-employed. I understood
Well,
you
no,
to be
I do work.
self-employed.
Well, I have multiple jobs, Blake. I'm a man of
Mm.
many jobs.
That was really convincing.
Yeah, I believed it. I don't feel like
Yes.
you're letting down the community at all right now,
No, no,
so that's
no.
cool.
And by many, I mean two. And my weekends are
I
just
can
like
tell you're not
my
at the
family
pulpit.
time.
You're more of a background guy.
Yeah.
You're
That's
more of
fair.
a you're
I've
more of
never
a
been
parking
elected.
lot parishioner, you know?
Oh, they tried to stick me in the parking lot. I said no.
Mm.
I have my own little table. I sit back there and try to avoid people.
Yeah. So speaking of church, my we go to church every Sunday. My wife's big into church. I'm medium into church or lukewarm into it, I guess, because I'll go because I don't want to appear to be a heathen in a small town. And so, I mean, valid consideration. Also, the same
Yeah.
church I went to as a child, so it's not really all that culture shocky. But
Ooh, was it the same church you got married in?
no, no, I got married in her family's church in Kansas.
Is there
But
like some animosity about that? Is your church
no,
like,
I don't
oh
give a
man,
shit about
remember how
that.
you didn't get married here?
I don't really think they
They're
care.
thinking it, Blake.
Yeah,
They're
well,
not saying it, but they're thinking.
a lot of people were like, "Hey, thanks for inviting us to Kansas. It was super cool to see Kansas." And I'm like, "Okay." Man, that's because you can literally see Kansas from any point in Kansas. Like you can see the whole thing because there's no
Yeah.
geography.
Somewhat flat.
Yeah, you just look out and that's the state. There's like a guy waving at you from the other side of the state and you wave back and that's Kansas.
The other
So,
person that lives in Kansas.
yeah, the other guy, John, he
Yeah.
lives on the other side of Kansas. But no, man, what's funny is I installed our church they were like, we're gonna spend a lot of money on getting IP phones because we want to do internet phones to save money on our phone bill. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, how much? I was like, out of curiosity, how much did they quote you? And they're like, oh, it's like $10,000. And I'm like, oh my god! And they're like, what? And I'm like, I can do this for much less money than that. Just charge your buy the phones and I'll set them all up. Don't worry about it, right? So they buy the phones. I set them all up. Of course, there's some kind of enormous technical defect that happens. I don't even remember what the defect was, but it was a problem that took me like 2 weeks to solve, right? And so I was there a lot working with the minister or whatever, and he was pretty cool about it. And we got it all working or whatever. And he's like, "Thanks, man. You were super helpful." I was like, "Yeah. Whenever they're giving out God points, I want you to remember me because I've pretty much acquired enough to be parishioner of the year 2019 to 2020 by this point, right?"
Did you win it?
No, they didn't. It's not a real title. So,
They don't do that.
I
No,
think
they
God
don't.
has a prize wall.
yeah, I would think that they would. Like, there should be a lottery. But
Yeah.
anyway, well, that's probably more of the devil's thing. But anyway, uh, that being said, it was funny because he wrote me the other day, and like sent me a text message out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, do you do wills?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, yeah, I do wills. That's fine. Do a will." And he's like, "Oh, good. I'm trying to send you some business right now, so I'll just go ahead and do that." And I was like, "Sweet. Church finally paid off." Is what I said to the pastor.
Oh, yeah. Did you lose all your points?
Yeah, he
Lost
thought it
all
was.
your
No,
value?
he's got a good sense of humor. He thought that was
That's good.
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
'cause
funny.
that is pretty funny.
I was like, oh, good,
You've been going
finally.
for, like-
Yeah, I've been
you've been
going to
going for,
church
like,
this
what?
whole time, and now it's finally paid off. So
Like
that's cool.
64 years.
Yeah, that's
You finally
right.
got one will out of it. So.
Yeah, my own. Weird, because at this point I'm starting to think about my legacy.
Yeah.
So,
Like, did you do it for free?
no, I haven't done it yet.
It wasn't a free will.
Speaking of, this also kind of pisses me off. I had a guy who oh,
I'm there.
I wasn't paying attention.
I'm with
It
you.
was. It
I had
wasn't
a-
very funny.
I had a guy who, lawyer code is that you can't say any information about any of your clients. Like, you can't tell people to just ask how somebody's case is going, right? Like, clearly that's against the rules, and I feel like everybody knows that, right?
No, I didn't know that
All right.
at all.
So, well, I mean, it's
We know
you have to keep like a
Yeah.
dome of secrecy around shit. That
Hippocratic oath,
Yeah.
if you will.
Sure, yeah, I promise to do no harm to people. No, I don't. I don't do that. I do harm all the time. I do. Anyway,
You are
Yeah, I
hired
did take
to
one of
do
those
harm.
when I got into marketing.
yeah. So anyway, I had a
don't blame
guy
you.
call me, and that I've known for years, and he got super mad that my office wouldn't tell him what's going on with this other lady's case that he's friends with. He's like, "Oh, well, we're friends. She would tell me." I'm like, "Then she can tell you. I can't." Right? Like, sorry. And he's like, "Well, screw you, man. I was going to get all this shit done at your office, but now if you're going to be like that." And I'm like, "It's not that I'm going to be like that. It's that I can't, or I will no longer have a license to practice law, asshole." Like,
I think this person stopped developing socially around middle school.
well,
That's
this is
what
a dude
I'm
who's
hearing.
very old, and I'm actually starting to wonder if something's going on, because I'm like, surely every human being knows the rules around lawyers, right? Like, that's
I
not.
would assume, or if a lawyer told me that was the rule, I would just believe him.
Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if somebody calls me like, "Sorry, man, can't
Lawyers
answer
say
any
so."
questions. It's against the rules to refund money," like. Yeah, oddly enough, it is against the rules for me to do profit sharing with anybody who's not a lawyer.
What?
Yeah. So, if my staff works really hard on a case, I can't give them a bonus that is tied to their work on that case.
Can you give them just a random bonus?
I can
because
give them a
you're
Christmas
nice?
bonus. I can give them random money bonuses. We do
If you
funzy
if you
Yeah.
guys crack like a seven-figure case,
on the back of
and
their
someone
work.
was just going balls
Mhm.
to the wall to make it work. You can't be like, "Hey, man, enjoy your Lambo."
Yeah, no, I can't do it. Can't do it if I want to. And I do actually want to. I'm the rare kind of person that likes to recognize effort people put in and then pay them accordingly. So what we
That's
do
why you're
instead.
Probationer of the year in
Yeah,
2019.
exactly. 2019 to 2020. 2020 to 2021 has been a rough year. I was a huge dick this year, so I was out of the running entirely.
Clearly.
But yeah, but no, it
Does that karma
What?
show up on the Rift? Because,
no. So
2021.
no, that's the opposite. I get fucked every year on League. It's like Riot has something against Parishioners of the Year, 2019 to 2020.
They clearly
Men of
do. They
God,
put you in
no,
loser's
not in
queue.
Riot's house.
Yeah. So not in Riot's nice. So shit, you guys ruined my train. Oh yeah. So we do
We
game.
ruined your train of thought?
Yeah, you guys ruined my
Your
train of thought.
30-minute story.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
It's
You
going
totally did.
literally nowhere.
And
Oh, God.
I appreciate your apology, and so I'll continue.
I'm not going to
So-
apologize. This is what I
It
was here
wasn't
to
an
do. I'm
apology.
glad
Yeah.
we did it this close. It's
Yeah,
10 minutes in. We're
so-
10 minutes in.
Yeah, we've already burned 10 minutes. We're 1/6 of the way to the finish line, boys. We haven't even started. This is great. People love this.
I'm sure
Hey,
they do.
yeah, comment in the podcast feedback if you just love what I'm doing right now. And no sarcasm. We don't want sarcasm here. So,
Just believes you.
anyway, so what I do instead is I do shit that's like funsies at my office. I went to the supermarket and I bought a whole bunch of 2 liters of Coke, and like Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, whatever, like RC Cola, like a whole bunch of different sodas.
Dr. Wham.
Yeah, like whatever's there. And then
the real high quality stuff.
no, I mean I bought everything, even
Mountain
the
Thunder.
even the absolutely shitty brands like Shasta. I bought a Shasta and threw it in there.
Rolling Hill Drip.
Damn.
And I put them all out, and I set them all out for my staff, and I said, hey, however many of these, I'm going to pour them in random glasses, and I know which ones are which because I made like a list, right? And they're all in different orders, so you guys can't like compare. So like Coke may be the first cup on this one and the fifth cup on that one or whatever, right? So it's all different. I was like, and I made a list, so I know what it is. But if you guys can match the taste blind, you get $20 a cup for each one you match. I had like 8 or 9 cups out there, so the earnings potential was high, right? And I thought it's Coke, right? Like surely they're going to be able to do this pretty well, right? The big winner matched like 3, and I'm like, well,
So you're the asshole boss.
I was
that
like,
gives out,
oh,
50
okay. I
bucks.
was like, so we're gonna do round 2, and in round 2, I'm gonna give you like 3 bonus ones, and if you can figure out what they are, then we'll do more. But oddly enough, I also was curious. I asked like, which is the best? Like, which one of these did you like the best, and which one did you think was the shittiest? Right? And I was really surprised because the glass bottle Mexican Coke that I bought, right? Like Coke is made with like
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, like corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, and Mexican Coke is made with cane sugar because it's cheaper to source cane sugar in Mexico than it is to source, uh, high fructose corn syrup or whatever, right?
Corn.
So, I thought, surely like the
The
glass
forgotten
bottle of Coke
crop.
is like the best, right? And so I bought like 3 bottles of it, and the bottles I had bought had skunked, and they were terrible. Like they were just fucking horrible. You ever had skunked beer?
It's pretty
A
rough.
lot.
Yeah,
Drink skunk beer all the
skunked
time.
Mexican Coke is just about the same in terms of appetizing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
It tastes
it's
like
fucking
toilet
gross.
bowl cleaning fluid.
And so, actually, glass bottled Coke, because it had skunked, got the worst rating, followed very closely by Shasta. That shit was disgusting. Like, and we all hated it. It was like
I've never
universal. We
heard of
didn't know what it
Shasta.
was. Yeah, go ahead and look it up. It's
I'm
a it's
looking it up.
it's a real shitty soda brand. Like it's fucking terrible.
What
But
was
like,
that? What was that liquor double sniff talked about?
oh,
in
you're
one
you're talking
episode?
about Fat
Daddy?
Daddy, Cat Daddy, something like that.
Cat Daddy. You
Yeah.
ever drink a Cat Daddy in Shasta?
I sent him a T-shirt that was a Cat Daddy, and it was like an XL or something, and he's like, "Thanks, I'll be able to fit it on one of my arms." I'm like, "You fucking dick! Wear it as an undershirt, man. I don't care. Like, throw it on."
The first thing that pops up is a shirt that says Cat Daddy AF, and there's also a tank top.
Yeah,
Is
it
that the
was.
one you
It
got?
was. I got him a baseball tee. Ooh, I
It's
got
a
him.
double rolling with a tank
Okay.
top.
It was cool.
Daddy tank
That was a
top.
cool ass thing. I got it. That was for Christmas, but apparently it didn't fit. And I'm like, well, give it away, re-gift it to somebody who will wear it, you prick.
I was
But
gonna make you guys Christmas gifts, and then I forgot, and I just remembered.
Christmas in July, player. Let's
You
go.
might be getting two Christmas gifts this year.
oh, okay, sweet.
Neither of them will be good, and neither of them will be a website blade.
Is it
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
what I was
Pepsi
looking
Cola?
for. That's what I asked
I
Santa
know.
Claus for, because I'm hoping elves work cheaper than your wife.
It's a premium product.
It is. It is. All right, so yeah, man.
Oh,
Turns out that RC Cola is actually pretty good. Came in high on the list. If you guys knew about Royal Crown Cola, you guys familiar with that? Is that a
I've heard of
thing you
Crown
guys?
Royal.
I've only seen it in Pennsylvania.
Well, if you take Royal Crown Cola and mix it with Crown Royal, it's delicious.
You get a Royal Crown Royal.
Yeah, you eat a Royal Crown Royal. It's-
I'm eating my hoagie.
I've had RC Cola. Blake, it does look like you've gotten some feedback on the podcast feedback section.
Yeah, from
looks
you.
Like Astros. No, it looks like Astros in the profile picture.
Oh,
And
yeah?
it
What
says,
did Astros
"Wise
say?
Papa Smurf's law stories suck." So
Ah,
harsh
that's
criticism.
cool. That's a harsh and factually quick feedback, really. I mean,
Somebody's watching the
it
live
seems
stream.
unusually fast, Jinsos. I don't know how that came
No.
through so fast.
Astros is a huge fan.
Hey, remind me again, Jinsos, who's the person that commented above you there in chat?
I think that looks like Jensos's dong shadow.
Right, so there's somebody in chat named Jinsos's Dong Shadow. So I feel like that's a story we should go into. Jinsos, why is there someone in chat named Jinsos's Dong Shadow?
I think somebody named him after my dong shadow. So me and my wife, for our business, that one of the two businesses we have that let me quit teaching, we have a woodworking thing, and we went up to the little like reservoir area next to us to get some product photos. And my wife's like, "Hey, you should get some photos on your phone." While I'm like taking nice ones of like behind the scenes things so we can post them on Instagram. And we had this little sack, this little like net sack with some lemons in it. And so I hung it down and got this like nice little picture of what looks like a really like lumpy dong hanging between my legs. Posted in general, and then for some reason somebody changed their name to Jensos's Dong Shadow on
Yeah.
Discord.
So I did some detective work on this, and because I know he
Okay.
doesn't actually like listen to the podcast, uh, turns out that's Astros that did that, and
Commenting, by the way, commenting, thanks for the free feet pic.
yeah, and also, uh, it wasn't Astros that did it. It was me that did it to Astros. And the funny part of this is that because I'm the administrator of the website, he can't change it. So I'm literally seeing how many things he's going to post, not knowing that his name is Jinsos's Dong Shadow, and see how long this lasts. So nobody tell him. Right? I'm just double check to make sure he's not in the chat. He is not in the chat. So nobody tell Astros. We're gonna see how long this thing goes. And if you want, engage him. Engage him in the Discord. Just be like, hey Astros, what do you think of, I don't know, Blade of the Ruined King Aurelia or some dumb shit, and let him go off on how great Aurelia is because he's a flavor of the month loving piece of shit. And then you can see that every comment he makes is going to be named Jinsos's Dong Shadow until he figures it out and says, Blake, I need you to change my name back. My name is not Jinsos's Dong Shadow.
He might embrace.
He'll probably get a
Maybe.
tattoo of it. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know, man. He gets lots of tattoos.
Yeah,
And I'm
find
also
somebody
seeing in
who does
general
good
that
black work up in PA.
yeah, I'm also seeing in general that X-Ranger's making fun of my middle toe, which makes me really self-conscious.
Yeah,
Never wearing
it's
sandals again.
pretty long.
Is it?
Yeah, it's about as long as your Dong Shadow.
I don't know if it's that long.
I mean, you got a droopy ass middle toe, bro. Can't help it. Your middle toe is clearly aroused. Is all I'm saying.
Well, you're not wrong.
Well, I was holding a big ass sack of apples, and that's what does it for my right foot. So
We all have our things, Blake.
we do all have our things. All right, so also Hash is here. What's up, Hash?
18 minutes in. Oh my god.
18 minutes, 22 seconds. Yeah, also, yeah, he's back. He's here. Oh shit. So guys, I was just excited that you guys decided to come on, and I didn't plan anything. I was just like, oh, the old guard's back. Let's BS for at least 19 minutes
20
before we
minutes,
talk
yeah.
about anything else. And so I'm there in a measly 12 seconds from now. So we're doing awesome. What's up, fellas? Like, what are we talking about this week? League of Legends wise.
I want to talk about Hash for a minute.
Yeah, I took a long break, so I kind of want to be filled in on what happened since like May.
Okay. Does
And
anybody
if we
here
don't
know
wanna
what
do
happened since May?
I don't know.
If we
I've
don't
just
want to
been
do
playing.
that, I kind of wanted to pick a champion to roast.
Okay, so what happened since May? All right, the metas kind of went all over the damn place. Like healing has been out of control since you left, which has made, and then it also kind of favors like Mundo is one that was pretty
Yeah, we played
strong
against
for a
Mundo
while.
last night. That wasn't fun.
It's
Yeah,
real
it was
hard.
hard.
Like Jin fell a lot in the ADC list because he has a hard time dealing with some of those like impossible regeners. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
I
he
saw
has to
Ash
just
is right up at the top. Ash was like dumpster tier for a minute, so
yeah.
obviously
So I
that.
It's
mean, there's
yeah.
been a shift. And like I don't know, people say assassins are really strong. In reality, it's kind of like a bruiser, AD bruiser mid meta. So like all
Okay.
the zippy bruiser top laners are doing really well in mid, and I think a lot of it has to do with like sustain is out of like Aurelia is a good example of
Aurelia
somebody
just
who's
you
like
can't kill her. Diana
yeah
looked like
no
she was tough to kill last night too.
yeah Diana's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Aurelia is super ridiculous tier right now because like one they reduced the amount of like she used to take 5 stacks before she hit max stacks, right? Now it's 4 with some top end reduction, but it's not that much.
Mm-hmm.
So she can get to max stacks 20% faster, and she still zips all over the goddamn earth, has natural sustain baked in her kit. And her W now blocks both physical damage and magic damage to a
Mm.
lesser percent. So she is and does more damage itself. So they like tweaked her to try to make her more accessible to lower tier players rather than just the top of the top end.
Because she's just
And
been like another Riven for the longest time, right? Like you
I
just
mean,
have to play
you have to play
hundreds
a
of
lot of
games with her.
games, yeah,
Yeah.
and then she's really good. But they've made her OP to the point that she's like incredibly difficult to kill. She's a hyper scaler. She has insane mobility. She can always get to your back line, and she always has the ability to pretty much kill an ADC, right? So she's kind of must ban at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically ADCs. I don't know, man. Like ADCs feel like just moving targets, no matter who you are.
I
Ooh,
think
I
part of
remember
that is
Assassin
because
Winter. Yuck.
yeah, part
Never
of
liked
that's
that
because the
class.
meta is so damage heavy in jungle mid that you can't really play. Like I was playing MF the other night. I think it was a game you were supporting me, Blake.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was the game you were playing, Tarek. And there's a
Oh,
Camille Shyvana on the other team. In every team fight, I
They
just
just
immediately died to
they
Camille
can
Shyvana.
those two can just walk past your front line
Yeah, and
and
Camille can
annihilate you.
engage from 2 screens away, and so I just immediately die, and it didn't really matter because Astros was playing Silas, and you were just sitting on him, and we won team fights just through his damage, so it wasn't really like a big deal that I was dying and they were using everything on me. It was kind of like, oh well, not gonna do damage anyways. I guess I'll just die
I'll just be a
now.
target. Yeah.
Just be a
Yeah,
meat
and so
puppet for about 15 seconds and then let my team do the
exactly.
work.
And maybe get some poke off, maybe try to like, sustain or like flash away, make them use more stuff,
All right,
distract them
so
for
so
longer.
what about the more mobile ADCs then? Like Vayne,
They're the ones that
Twist.
are in the meta
Yeah,
generally.
I just don't play this.
So like right now, just to give you an idea, like top lane, the top tier top laners right now, according to op.gg, and I would say this is fairly accurate. Uh, Tom Kinch, who's also disgustingly broken. They did a mini rework
Yeah.
of Tom Kinch,
So
and
so where's Aiden? Isn't he supposed to be here
oh,
just
he's
spoon
thrilled.
LOLA on the
Aiden
podcast?
fucking loves this shit. He's been
Aiden's
talking
knocking
about
for
it.
master tier.
He's been talking about it all over Leaguecast. Like
Yeah.
he's fucking thrilled. But Tom Kinch is broken. Well, actually, I don't know if he's
Okay.
thrilled or not because Tom Kinch is getting banned a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe
Too
that's a
good. It's
problem.
too good.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
way too good. So what they did to Tom Kinch is, his W or not his W, his ult used to like open your mouth and you take an ally and you go, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now that's not the case anymore. His ult doesn't do that. His ult is
Okay.
his consume, where he eats an ally or an enemy.
Blech.
So what they did instead is Q pretty much operates the same way, but if you hit somebody with it, you get healed. You get
Oh,
sustain.
Like a good amount of healing.
Like yeah, pretty decent
It's
amount of
like
that's
healing.
percentage max health healing, right?
I
Yeah.
don't love that.
Yeah.
W is I open my mouth, I dive underground, and then I come up a shorter range away.
It's
So think
Recon
about
W
like
with a
Recon W with I can take an
Mhm.
ally with me. And it
Okay.
takes longer to like sync up and then to land, but the range is pretty long. So it's got to be you have to do it off a stun or a slow and then be somewhat predictive.
The
right?
indicator doesn't show up for the enemy until
Half
I
second.
think he until.
It's a
Okay,
half
so
second.
yeah, if you do it from a bush, it's pretty hard to dodge as well.
So,
Okay.
so you can do that, and that's a way to engage. Gray health is largely the same. I mean, there's some differences to the numbers, but it's the same theory. Like that didn't change too much. And then his ult is consume, so you can use it on an ally, or now you know how whenever you were Tom Kinch, you could tongue lick something and then hit consume, and it would pull a minion back, and then you could spit it at him.
Blah. Yeah.
Now you can do that to champions with your ultimate.
So you're kind of
So you can
Callista throwing them?
no, you can tongue lash them and then walk backwards and then spit them out
Oh,
behind you.
so you could spew them under your tower.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or just pull them away from their tower in safety and then deposit them elsewhere.
Okay.
So like,
So
but
how
that's
would that
only
play
if
out
you're
in
at
team
it's
fights?
only if you're at max stacks. So they have to at least I think that's how it works. They have to be
Yeah,
at
you have
yeah,
to
they
be
have to be
maxed
at
out.
max stacks to eat them.
You
So
can still
Okay.
eat allies whenever.
yeah, you can still eat allies whenever, but yeah, they have to be at max stacks. But Tom Kench, because of all this shit, is broken. Like his healing is stupid
Oh.
because his Q is up all the damn time and it's
I mean, the
very
gray health
difficult
was
to.
already pretty strong.
Yeah, so mix gray health with healing and all that shit. He's really really dumb. So he has a huge win rate. Camille is super high up there. Fiora is high up there. Set is high up there, and Aurelia is high up there. Those are your like, and then Aatrox. So if you think about all those champions, there you go. Like
That
that's
makes me
your
wanna poop in my Pampers.
yep. And then the second tier is like all your other kind of top laners you'd be used to seeing, like Jax, Wukong, Darius, Malphite, Silas, Renekton, Shin, Riven, Quinn, Jace, Kennen,
Fiora
Vayne.
is really strong right now. I feel like
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I already mentioned Fiora,
Oh,
but
yeah,
then,
Fiora.
I
Okay.
didn't
if you
mention
look
Fiora
at
in
mid,
the upper tier.
like Aurelia is also top tier mid. Renekton is a good mid. You know, like there's all sorts of weird bruisery shit from top lane that comes down to mid lane and is also still effective.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that is because like control mages, there's so much mobility in the game
So
now
just
that
half, like, have they just fallen off?
it's really hard to hit your shit.
Okay.
So like, how do you effectively play Brand when everybody has 100 dashes? Like there are certain ones that are much easier. Like Oriana is still good because Oriana's always good. Oriana's like Thresh. She's always going to be good regardless of what, you know, it's about what you can do with the kit, not so much I don't know, like but that's been a thing, and then assassins are really strong right now. So Talon, LeBlanc, Katarina, Zed, Yasuo,
Lots
Silas.
of dive in the meta right now.
Hmm.
It's yeah, like you said, assassin-y stuff. Bruisers that can go under tower, take a couple shots. Nocturne is ridiculously strong.
Yeah, I was
Zin's
just
out
asking
in
if
general.
Nocturne was good.
So
Yeah,
then bottom lane responds by Ezreal is in the top of the meta for bot lane.
Ugh.
I mean,
Bleh.
well, I mean it is just because you have to have mobility and he
Yeah.
does that, or
Right.
else you die to all of this other shit we just named. Makes sense. But Ziggs is also a top tier ADC right now.
Oh
Played
no.
AP, and the reason he's top tier is because his bombs do an insane amount of damage. He can tower push, he can do all the shit with the farming. He has the empowered auto attacks for trading. And yeah, he's safe because he has a satchel to blow himself away.
Okay, so
So,
how is a team with Ziggs as their ADC beating a Mundo? With
uh,
some heal tank.
well, like I said, your team's probably gonna have a heal tank too. So the
Okay, so
Aatrox fights the Mundo or something. You know,
okay.
it's really just a who gets fed kind of situation. And while I mentioned Mundo, and I honestly think Mundo's kind of a problem, Mundo hasn't like tiered out. You know what I mean? Like he's not super meta because while he's very strong and CC resistant, he's still what Mundo was before, and that's a pure tank. And while he can run at your ADC, can't do much of anything else. He's just harder to stop at it now.
Okay.
So support is you're in my wheelhouse at the moment. Leona Thresh, Lulu Blitzcrank are Nautilus are top tier supports. Morgana's went down a little bit. And then your enchanters, other than Lulu, who's always broken, have kind of fallen down because enchanters into engage is not good.
Except for
Swain
Lulu.
has oddly dropped. Well, yeah, Lulu's just top tier no matter what
Broken all
because
the
of her
time.
fucking kit. Um,
Swain ADC though
if
is insanely good, I think.
if you have fasting Senna, you can do it,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's what makes it really
I'd
good.
be down to fuck around and find out.
Yeah. So if you're good at fasting Senna, which is I don't know if you know anything, but fasting Senna is kind of a newer thing, but
No,
Senna takes
I
the
played it a bunch before I
Senna takes the
really took this
support
seriously.
item and the support farms,
Yeah.
and you scale with souls, and they scale with your gold.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's kind of how the bot lane meta is shaping out. Also, Zillion climbed to like second tier, which is weird. Karma's still good because poke is decent. Like all in, like the support trinity. Generally, it's like all in beats
Yeah,
sustain,
yeah,
sustain beats poke, poke beats all in, right? So hence all in is good. So then karma is good in response to all in as a poke. Yeah. So everything kind of revolves around the mid top meta has shifted. That like everybody's running AD everything. And so because of that, like hard engage is good, and then ADCs are just kind of shit out of luck because whenever hard engage is good and everybody's running assassins, that's like you're gonna have a shitty day. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the recipe for I'm gonna hate my life as an ADC.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in the last several months, that's kind of happened. They've tried to balance a whole bunch of different mythic items, and I don't think they can. I honestly think that like mythic items in general are kind of a fail.
Mm.
But I don't know. Maybe I just feel that way. What are your guys' thoughts on
Yeah, I
mythic
think
items? The mythic experiment.
right when I was about to take a break, they were looking at Gale Force like, oops, like it's here, but oops, and
Crazy.
they were trying to come up with ways to fix it, but it
I
it
don't
felt.
think
I mean,
it's
the game
fixed.
we played, it still did its job. It still, you know, rocketed me around the map as Jin, who really should never move like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think that's kind of the problem is that this mythic item is supposed to be item diversity. I can do this game, and next game I'll pick a different mythic and do this thing. But the reality is, you're never going to make items like that. People are going to go, I'm brand, therefore I buy Leandri's.
yeah, there's always going to be a best in slot.
They did
You know,
have the little bit of time. I know that's a really niche, kind of thing with brand specifically, but where Ludens was viable, then they nerfed it for him
hmm
because it reduced cooldown on DOT, and same with Zyra. But I don't know. I think Mythics like they're a complete failure in how Riot wanted to implement them with all the item diversity and build diversity. I don't think they're the biggest failure in the world. I think they just let you do more with your build, and your champion doesn't have such a binary playstyle. You're seeing more. Like I guess Set is the person I think of with a mathematically correct build, and it's something that's viable. That's not necessarily his right build, his meta build. You can do it, and you're not trolling. And so I think in that way, Mythics are kind of a success. They let you do cool things like have a big AoE slow as Nocturne when you dive in. But there's so many just more broken champions now because they're the one champ that interacts with the Mythic. Like Nocturne doesn't need a dash on Stridebreaker. He just goes in, slows everyone, does a butt ton of damage with one item, and then kills whoever he wants to. So I don't know. I don't think they're the biggest failure in the world, but they could have not happened as well, and I would have been happy.
Yeah, but
yeah,
you think that they failed in their purpose.
Oh
Like
yeah, 100%.
you
Like the
think
way
that
that
they are
Riot.
enjoyable, but that when they designed them, they said we're gonna make X Y Z things, and they're gonna do this set of things to the game. None of that happened. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
and see,
yeah. If
actually,
Riot.
I agree and disagree with you. I think you're right that they failed in their purpose. I disagree that they are all enjoyable. I think that like
Which one's
Gale
the most
Force.
egregious?
I think Gale Force probably is the most egregious. Like the idea of giving a dash away to a kit that's perfectly balanced in the absence of a dash is a problem. Look at Jin. Like Jin was created as a champion who like has supportive CC, who has the ability to blast somebody from a distance, who has like a grenade mechanic and a fourth shot mechanic that speeds you up so you can hit that shot and then you're out. Right? Like that's the idea. Is like I'm going to blow my load and then I'm out. Right? But I have to land something before I get to that power point. Now you don't, because you can just zip flash gale force forward and they're fucked and they can't respond to that. Right? And I think that like you've broken a balance point on what used to be a champion's meaningful weakness is now readily available with an expenditure of gold.
Yeah, I just don't think it would be that much of an issue though if Riot wasn't as transparent about things. If they just came out with mythic items and didn't say their purpose for them, then people would be like, "Wow, that gives really broken mechanics to some champs, and they're gonna have to tune them down and all that." And hopefully they do. And knowing Ryan's balance team, they won't. And even with the new head of balance, I haven't seen. Have you seen anything like, "Wow, this is great. Balance is actually being restored to the game"? Uh, yeah, no, I haven't either at all. But it's if they weren't as
So,
transparent about things,
an
it just wouldn't
Aurelia
be that
we
much of an issue.
an Aurelia we played against went from 3-6 to 19-6.
Nice.
There's no like,
Skilled player.
yeah, clearly. I mean, he actually was a pretty good Aurelia,
Yeah.
but like, you should not.
No.
3-6 to 19-6 is stupid.
Yep.
Like, this is Immortal Shield Bow in conjunction with like what's the fucking item? It looks like a fist. It's like fucking pink or
Sterix.
whatever. Yeah, Sterix.
Yeah.
Immortal Shield Bow plus that getting defense, offense, and inability to die.
And that's not
Like,
even the right build on Aurelia.
well, I'm just saying, like those
Yeah.
two
No, I
items
agree.
combined together makes it
It's
very
insane.
difficult to fucking kill anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, like that champion is like hilariously unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, granted, they just kind of did this whole I'm gonna throw this W shield and then we're gonna see what happens kind of thing into play. But like, I think the problem is not that I don't think Ryan's balance team is stupid. I think they just wait too long to implement these changes because I think they're concerned about a whole lot of things. Like, we want pro play to be relatively stable because all these guys practice these matchups and we want the game to be interesting and fun around these matchups. But then we feel like we need to actually balance the game, but we want to wait a little bit to let them at least get a couple of weeks in before we dick with it. Right? And I feel like, dude, they're professional players. Let them adjust to what the rest of the game needs to be healthy.
That makes it more exciting too in pro play.
I
I
think
get
so.
sick and tired of watching
know,
the same meta over and over again every week.
Do they balance around
Yeah,
professional play?
they do.
They
They've
pretend
actually
to.
Like I know
So-
they've done it with Rise, they've done it with like a few champions, but the game in general, I feel like, is more balanced around the biggest swath of players, which is like silver through plat.
They when Jet was on the balance team, they came out with this metric that had elite, which is like pro play. I don't even remember the 4 tiers, but it was pretty much like pro play,
elite, high elo,
yeah,
regular
high diamonds.
player, iron
Yeah.
stompers.
Right. And so if a champion in any of those tiers is like over a specific win rate, it's all math stuff, which is also not a great way to balance a game because there's a lot of things that are just anecdotal and you can tell like anyone can go in and say, "Hey, Aurelia's broken." She might not have an insane win rate right now. Like I don't even know what her win rate is.
Win
But
rate is not high. It was like 48% whenever I just looked.
okay. But that champ's broken. Like that champ's
Oh,
absolutely
look at
insane.
Akali. Like for the longest time, Akali was fucking hugely broken
Mhm.
and never really crested 50% but was dumb for like ever,
Yeah.
right? Like Aurelia's win rate is 48.85%, and her pick rate is 14%.
Jeez.
And so, but that's just because everybody is playing her right now. She's in pro play. She's flavor of the month, and so people that aren't good at Aurelia are going to pick a 100 game champion and fuck up her win rate. But
Yeah.
she is entirely busted. Like the champion's
Yeah.
busted. But
And anyone can tell that. Like it's easy to see that. And just when champions go this long without a nerf, like Varus, has Varus gotten nerfed?
he did. He
Well,
did.
you are supposed to give people time to adjust and relearn, or learn new strategies, though, right? Right? There's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a happy medium there where like
Yeah.
people are gonna like counterplay needs to develop. So you need to give people the opportunity to find out what's strong against the top of the tier, and then that thing rises. Like what I said about karma into all engage. Like karma rises the rank whenever you have hard engage champions, right? It's a natural thing that happens. The problem is, and Riot's kind of stated goal has always been, we want you to be able to log into the Rift and play whatever you want. Right? Like, yeah, you're going to be at a disadvantage against certain things, you're going to be advantaged against other things, but we want you to be able, like, if you really like Tarek, to play Tarek, or if you really like, I don't know, whatever, Lulu or Yumi, if you're a terrible person. But, if you like any of that shit, you should be able to play it. Or,
Callista's probably a good example of the rule you think that they're breaking, right?
mhm.
I mean, for a while now, Callista's been kind of unplayable, right?
Yeah. I mean, she's in pro play again right now, though.
Oh, okay. So she's gotten tuned up in
Like,
my
I
survival.
She's pretty strong right now.
I was watching a game the other day, and Callista was playing. I can't remember. I think it was a Cloud9 game I was watching, but Callista was on the game.
Yeah.
And I thought,
So,
oh look, Callista's back. And then I went, oh shit, Callista's back.
yeah. To go into an analogy, like me and my wife were talking about this today. We're like talking about customer acquisition, and we do marketing stuff and like helping small businesses grow their base and like figure out how to do things with systems and all that. And we were talking about a target audience, and a lot of people we talk to say their target audience is everyone. We want everyone to buy our product or service. And if you do that, you're severely limiting yourself as a business because not everyone's going to. You're not Walmart, and you're actually decreasing your conversion rate on things. And I think that's what Riot's trying to do with their champs, like you were saying, Blake, with everyone being available to play. It's just making no one of it. Like it's making specific OPs and specific champs that are just trash because they're trying to norm everything. And it just doesn't work like that. Like nothing in life, I feel like works like that.
Yeah.
So you
Unless,
think they should
yeah.
be more of like a triangle schedule? It's just they don't tell you which one you're gonna get, and they don't keep the same rhythm, right? Like you were saying with the support triangle.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of that triangle sort of exists for the whole game, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I know in support it does simply because like that's the natural functionality by which that lane has been designed. Is
But that
this is your
also is
trinity.
sort of true of the flow of the game once you start team fighting. Engage, poke.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
It's
in
control
5v5s,
levers.
those comps are still true, but you also have to like build a whole comp around it, and then play that comp appropriately. And that's where like a large part, like that is a distinction that you're going to run into between like organized pro player, high elo flex, and like solo queue. In solo queue, nobody's playing a poke comp, right? They're just poking when they can, and then they get caught, and then people will die or whatever, right? Like, if
But
people
Riot can design metas that
are appropriate for
incentivize
that,
that
yeah,
kind of play.
yeah. And I mean,
So
yeah, you can do that
would it
by,
be healthier for Riot to basically have a 3 month rotation throughout the year of we're in the poke month, so here we go. Here are all the poke
no,
champions.
because I
Go
think
get
you're
the
going to
stuff.
turn off anybody who doesn't like to play poke.
I think what would be healthy is have a meta
Okay.
and then have champs that counter the meta. Like, I know the example is always in split push meta. Shen is a really powerful pick, not because he's great at split pushing, but because he's great anti split push. And if you can develop that, and if you can play things that are anti
Well, aren't
meta,
there enough champions in their roster currently that every single one of those thirds would have its counterplay ready to rumble
yeah, the
if they
issue
design
is
it
when a
correctly?
champion's so OP that their counterplay doesn't matter. Like their counter is still a losing matchup for the counter. And so if they just nerf OPs and keep them in check, I think that's what really happens. Then there's going to be more OPs. And obviously you can't just nerf everything until there's no damage.
Well, okay,
I'm
and,
just
and
trying
what
to
you're talking
I'm
about
trying to
works.
propose a solution to the
Well, I get what you're saying. What you're talking
problem
about,
of
yeah, what
everyone's playable, but that's not how it's panning out.
right?
Yeah.
What you're talking about works also when all the champions neatly fit into a category,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like, okay, but then what category does Akshan fit in?
No one knows.
No one
Until
fucking
Purple.
knows. Like, you see
Until
what I'm.
he's open for
Well,
Purple.
you see what I'm saying though. Like,
Yeah.
he's not really a marksman. I mean, he kinda is, but
Yeah.
like, he's also insanely hyper mobile and has to enter team fights in a really weird way.
They saw how
And
popular Lucian mid was, and they wanted to make another Lucian mid, which is great. Like he functions the exact same way pretty much, which is cool. He's a well-designed champion. Apparently, he's really fun to play, but he's not. He's just super weak. And then they're gonna buff him, and he'll be insanely OP for a little bit, and they'll be fine with that. Then they'll nerf him a little bit, and
like,
it'll just be that.
I honestly
Yeah.
would have less of a problem with the champion if they would take off the dumbass revive mechanic, because like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's just like, okay, you remember the Medios
I
clip
didn't
where
run
he's
into
like,
it yet,
"Oh,
but
you know how unique I am." Oh,
Then
you
they
know,
made
I
like,
don't
Yugi.
even farm.
yeah, like that is what that feels like. Is like you had a champion that's cool, that's mobile, that swings on a fucking grappling hook and shoots people while he's
Sick.
doing it. Neat, right? Like I'm down. You got me. And they're like, but what do we do to make him unique? Oh, give him a revive mechanic. And you're like, why? Why do you need that? Just make his like fucking Spider-Man shit twice as effective and cut the revive mechanic.
The revive, I don't even think is that OP. It's just
No, it's just dumb.
It's just weird.
That's
It's
what I'm
just
saying. It
OP.
doesn't
Yeah, it's just
fit.
dumb. Like, why is Yumi Yumi? Why does Yumi get to attach? Like
You
that part
stick,
about Yumi is an OP. You can sit back a screen away from your ADC and play Soraka or Lulu and get the same effect, except for like unique situations like tower diving and all. But it's just stupid and it's frustrating to play against. Like I think
Is
that
it interesting or obnoxious to stick him with Kale and teleport?
oh god. I
I
someone's
haven't
gonna
even
figure something out.
considered that, but that's ew. But I
Oh,
mean,
God. Yeah.
like I said, this
You're
is
a terrible human being.
yeah. Don't put that evil out there, Hash. Anyway, but like,
G2,
fuck,
are you
man.
listening?
Yeah, fuck, man. Like I don't.
Oh.
It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, okay. So balancing around what subcategory you are works great when champions fit in subcategories, but like they don't. And the other end of it is like hyperscalers, for example, break all category rules because if the game goes long enough, they just win.
They're just gonna murder everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you're I don't know what category
Doesn't
you're
matter
in
if
if
you're
the
a
hype
poke or an engage or a
whatever if yeah if
control
there's
or
a
okay.
if there's a fed whatever on the other team that just hyper carries the shit out of the game, like a Kale, like good luck,
Yeah.
the champion's fucking super mega busted at level 16, so okay. Um, but yeah, if you get that far in the game, and the funny thing is, like, hyperscalers are really only countered by teams' poor mental. Yeah, people literally surrender before their hyperscaler scales. And
Or
so,
they don't even know what a hyperscaler is.
yeah, it's like frustrating to play a hyperscaler because you don't even get to it's like lifting weights right up to the Olympics and then you get COVID and can't go or some shit. You know what I mean? Like it feels like you do all this work for no payoff. Or, you go and destroy everything. And
The
it's
thing
like
is,
I don't know what that binary like you flip a coin and half the time you win and the other half you don't. It just feels unrewarding. I don't know. But so that's what I'm getting at is if they had clear categories like bot lane does, then I think that that's good and healthy and it makes sense. But they really don't have that elsewhere. And even bot lane has weird category breakers, like Yumi, that doesn't
Yeah.
really have the traditional weaknesses of a
It's like a
healing
poke
support.
healing. Yeah.
It's like a
Or you have
poke, sustain, all in champion with its ult.
yeah. I think about
Yeah.
Zyra too. Like Zyra and Talia are two champs that were made, I'm convinced, to be poke champs. Talia was made to be a poke roam champ. But the way Talia's W and E work is a complete all-in burst mage.
Hmm.
You W E Q and then they're dead. And then Riot was all upset about the fact that Aurelion Sol and Talia could roam, and so they nerfed him to the ground, and then Talia became a jungler and all that. But it's just this weird, like you said, there's no categories for a lot of these champs because you can do multiple things with them, and it works really well when you can fit them nice into these boxes. Like I'm trying to think who's a champ that's very binary, like Garen.
Yeah, and,
That's a
it, well,
very
and
binary champ.
in Riot's defense, it's really hard to say like I'm going to create the 18th poke champion in League of Legends, and they're going to be unique and fun and different than everything else.
It would be boring. It would
Right?
be
It's
a
boring.
bad
It's a
champion
boring
design.
game, and so I think the game has and this is in Riot's defense. I think the game has outgrown categories. Like it just kind of has. Like the champion
Yeah.
roster is just too damn big to have it. And so I don't know. I don't know how you fix that problem.
Nerf OPs.
And then I think the only thing you can do is nerf OPs, have everything have a fairly comfortable win rate, and then
Don't do giant buffs. Make sure that you do buffs that are very incremental. Do nerfs that are very incremental. Unless there's a champ that's like severely overperforming, then
we're
do something that's
underperforming.
yeah, exactly. Then do something that's mediocre, and you don't have to like put somebody into the ground. But it's just the weirdest. Like seeing Akali, when they nerfed Akali's ult a couple patches ago, like a month ago or something, and then they brought it back like to they like mega nerfed it. Then they do these tiny incremental buffs to make sure that she's playable again. It's like, why don't you just nerf her to the spot that you were planning on bringing her 3 patches from now, see how that goes, and then if she's still too strong, then just nerf her again a little bit. Like, why does it have to be all or nothing? And then they do stupid things like take away 2 armor from somebody as a nerf. That does nothing on an OP. So it's just inconsistent. Like they either do, it's all or nothing pretty much. It's like, oh, we're gonna take away 2 armor, it'll be game changing, or it's like
Well,
we're
okay,
gonna
so
make
the
their
two
ult
armor
5
shit.
minutes.
Like hold on, I do want to talk about that because those kind of buffs, like they're like non-sexy shadow buffs that everybody's like, what the fuck? Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
3 AD. That's the long-running joke. Is the 3 AD buff,
I
Was
remember
that
3 AD.
Jarvan?
Caitlyn got a
Well,
few of those.
Yeah,
yeah,
it
Long time ago.
actually matters a lot in the
it,
grand scheme of things.
yeah. I
Cause
guess that was
like,
a bad example.
cause like Bard, for example, came on his release was ass. Because they're like, oh, we're gonna, he's a roaming support. He's gonna roam. But you were so squishy that whenever you got there, you just died instantly before you could do anything. It's like you just showed up with an apple in your mouth, and you're like, here we go, and then they just fucking feast on your ass, and that's it.
Time to die.
Yeah, it's like it sucked. And I was like, oh, this champion sucks, but he's got a cool kit, and I kind of like his thing, like his thematic shit. But he sucks at doing what you designed him to do because he's too squishy. And then they came back and they gave him like one of those completely unsexy armor buffs, where he just kind of actually
Sexy to me, Blake.
survived a little bit.
Yeah, I
And I
saw
was
those
like,
eyebrows.
anyway, he actually survives a little bit, and then he all of a sudden the kit worked, and it was good. But obviously he came out super shitty, so nobody really wanted to give him a chance. But after that first buff, he was actually a viable champion, and all it took was a handful of armor.
That's fair. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
that's fair.
I don't know. Some of those buffs are meaningful, like the 3 AD. I kind of wonder about because you're like, eh. But I mean, on champions like Caitlyn, it makes a huge difference because you're constantly whittling somebody and whatever. But I don't know. Like to me, stat buffs and knocks are useful, but like the problem right now is that each champion, each ability on each champion is like a fucking book. And if you look at like Nasus's kit,
Yeah.
Yeah. Passives are.
passive is this long, Q is
Life
this
steal.
long, this is this long, this is this long. He gains hit points and does AoE damage. Like that's it. It's just
New
one
passives are the
sentence.
actual entire Magna Carta.
Yeah, and it's like, well, fucking look at Action. Like they're like, yeah, one of his, they're like, what? I think I read a Reddit post. I
It's
can't
his
remember.
W.
Yeah, it said his W has more words in it than like these champions' entire kits.
And somebody on Reddit took the time.
Took the
Somebody that's
time to like look
unemployed
up
and
a
single
list.
took the
Yeah.
time
Yeah,
to.
no.
A hero is what
That's
you're
a
saying.
foregone
He's a
conclusion.
hero.
Someone on Reddit has always taken the time. Don't act fucking
It's
surprised.
true.
You're
Yeah,
the
don't-
one who's
don't-
been on the
unemployed
internet.
single
Don't you
20 years.
disparage that motherfucker and his timely
I'm sorry.
bullshit.
You're right, Ash.
So, but no, he, like I said, it's just one of those things where you go, okay, clearly your problem point is that you baked too many levers into the champ. It's time to start turning off some of those,
Uh-huh.
right? Like I said, with Action, he could be really cool. Why are you using up power budget to make him do this dumb shit that you've designed with Resurrection that nobody particularly wants? Like nobody wants to lose a game because Action killed a guy who got a triple kill late. You know what I mean?
What
Like
I'm
nobody
really
wants to
pissed
lose a game
about-
for that.
What I'm really pissed about Action is that his passive's not called Lights Camera.
Yeah, I know, right? That was, by the way, that was my joke like 2 weeks ago, you dickhead.
I don't
I-
listen to the podcast anymore.
Yeah, I made that joke like 2 weeks ago.
Damn it.
Yeah, too late, ass. Like this is my joke.
Wait, why don't you guys just celebrate being really good dads?
That's true.
Yeah, it was a,
Oh, I'm not a good dad at all.
I had a good dad joke the
I
other
just
day. I
have good
don't-
dad jokes.
Yeah, I had a good dad joke the other day. By the way, on the subject of being a good dad, you know what's the most like detrimental thing to your dad ego? Is watching
Talking to
anything on Nick Jr. And like, okay, so there's this show
Yeah.
Bluey. It's about a
Yeah, I
blue
know
healer puppy. You know this show.
Dude, Bluey's dad is like.
Is way better of a parent than I ever
Oh
will
my
be.
Lord.
That dude has the perfect answer to every scenario in like a very in-depth way that any child would be like, "I love you, Dad."
And
And
he
I'm
has
like,
a sexy Australian accent.
yeah, I was like, "Fuck this dog." Like, I'm
Actually, because of his accent. I'd
Yeah.
be down.
like, yeah, I'm hot to trot for
Wait,
this
wait,
fucking
wait.
blue healer. I was never into bestiality with another father before until I watched Bluey.
That's what
Wow.
they're
Well.
getting you with.
That's how they get you.
Good thing I'm not a dad. I don't have to get into bestiality.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's
You're missing
optional
out,
for you.
Ash.
If you want to, I have a cartoon for you.
That's just that's a
I'll just say
horrendous
this:
sentence,
the
Blake.
good news, Hash, is
There's
if
so many problems with that.
yeah, the good news is
It's
if
2021,
if
Ash.
something if something goes unplanned, he will raise your puppies well.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just tell you,
I
you'll have
kinda
some quality
Biologically, that
puppies.
doesn't work on so many levels.
You know,
We
they'll
are
be
talking
well
about a
mannered.
cartoon, so
Those puppies will be well mannered as fuck.
we're not just talking about a blue healer puppy. We're talking about a cartoon blue healer puppy.
Yeah,
So-
it sucks because like I'm watching this cartoon with my son, and I'm like, fuck, this dog's making me look bad. There's no
Well,
way I
hold
can
on,
compete with
pause,
this
Blake,
fucking
pause,
dog.
Blake.
Yeah.
That dog has a writing team that probably has a mental health professional on it. It probably has several writers who actually know what they're doing. You know who your writers are?
Me?
Us.
his wife.
Yeah, like
We're your writers.
it's
Oh.
literally whatever snarky ass thing comes off the top of my head to say to my child about like welcome to disappointment. Like Bluey's dad will sit down with him and be like, Bluey, I don't, like, and it just has this like magical moment every time, and I'm like,
Bluey, we're gonna go to the zoo today to
Kinda
look at
sounds
animals.
like a Australian Atticus Finch.
Bluey, these animals might be sad, but
Oi, Bluey, we're gonna go out and see those animals today.
your
Lucky.
your Bluey impression is fucking terrible. Bluey's dad impression is fucking terrible.
I think it's spot on.
You
Yeah.
should be getting DMCA'd for how bad it is.
The podcast gets its first DMCA from Bluey's dad, and
Hell
it's like
yeah.
well reasoned and polite, and it makes us
I do,
feel
like,
bad,
I
and so
can't
we
even
just
be upset.
we're like, yeah, he had a
Upset.
really good point. I wish he
Yeah.
was my dad. You know, thanks, Dad.
Jinsos just writes a letter. The response is one sentence. I wish you were my dad.
I wish you were. I wish you were my dad / lover.
It's like, man, Bluey's dad, if you were on the podcast, Astros would have turned out so much better.
Oh no. I don't know if Bluey's dad's better than John though.
No, John's pretty badass, but
I think
he's
John
like,
takes the cake.
John is literally the opposite of Bluey's dad. Like, I don't see Bluey's dad being like, you got a diet of chicken nuggets. Move the fuck out of my house. I
you
missed
know what
that
happens when
episode.
Bluey grows up.
I
Maybe
missed that
Bluey's
episode
dad
of
was
Bluey.
just-
You're fed up with Bluey's shit at this point? Like, get a fucking job, quit using your imagination, and earn some income. You know.
Quit spending all your money on tattoos, Bluey.
Oh god. You know, I had an old lady come into my office, and she was talking about tattoos. She's like, maybe I'm just old fashioned, but young people are just damn weird. Got tattoos on everything, and I'm like,
No, you're pretty spot on, lady.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
observant.
don't let the young people tell you what they do with their
Like-
buttholes.
Yeah, like you don't even want to know what goes on where you can't see. Don't read
Not the
those.
30s anymore.
Yeah,
Grandma.
don't read those tattoos, because they'll tell you exactly.
Oh,
Oh, we lost Blake's audio. Oh no.
yeah.
Did you?
But I assume it had to do
happens.
with something about Bluey's dad fan fiction not existing in the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that was it. Is my audio still gone? I'm seeing
you're
them.
back.
No, you're
I
back.
got lines. Okay.
I think
Sweet.
you just got really loud and your noise gate cut on.
Oh yeah, that happens when I get
Yeah, you
excited.
get excited sometimes.
Yeah, when I get excited, that happens. And no,
Bluey does it to him.
yeah, like old
Fucking
people, man.
Bluey.
They really hate tattoos. I never understood that. I always thought like, it's a
Well,
tattoo.
it's just
That's
to say
fine.
that for the longest time, all they were meant to do was signify that you were part of the criminal element, right?
Right.
It's not where we're at.
Yeah.
But
There's just a lot of long historical
or
stigma.
military.
Yeah, like
Those
this
are the
same
two
lady
options.
talked about how handsome Post Malone would be if he would get a haircut and not have his face tattooed.
Not a handsome guy. I don't think he's.
She said that, and I'm like,
I don't-
how do you
no.
even know who Post Malone
I'm
is?
impressed. I'm
impressive.
really impressed by that.
Like,
Yeah.
and she's old, like real old. So I don't know, man.
Maybe she's just churning butter to Post Malone, wishing he didn't have tattoos.
She's Amish now. The story.
No, he
But
didn't
has
mean
access to
churning
Post
butter.
Malone.
He didn't mean churning butter in a literal sense, Jinsos.
I
It was a
understand
figurative butter churn.
Yes. Well, I feel like
I could tell by the difference in your faces who understood that.
Yeah, mine was literally like shocked revulsion, and Jinsos is like, I love butter.
butter's great.
Yeah.
I drink butter soup every
Want to
morning.
go watch Bluey?
It's
So
wholesome.
So
Yeah.
young, so naive.
Oh god. No, seriously though, that show is actually pretty damn good. I was
It's
watching
one
it
of my
with my
favorite
kids.
kid shows by far.
But yeah, it is it totally. I need to hire these writers to be like, Max comes to me with a problem,
Please
and I'm
make me
like,
a better dad.
hold on, Max. Let me consult my team of writers here.
Dad, why do you always talk in an Australian accent when you're being encouraging?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know, writers? And then they'll give me an answer to that, and it'll be the
Oh,
best
wow.
answer ever.
It's gonna be way better than what we could write for you.
Also, like,
Please
they just
fire us.
spontaneously break into song a lot. Did anybody ever do that? Has anybody
Yes.
in the history of, like, real life just, you have a question and then they break into
You
song?
were clearly not a theater kid.
Did
I mean,
you-
I was,
were
though.
You a theater kid, Hash?
People broke
Maybe
into
we-
song. Like, people in my high school did not break into song in theater class.
You went to high school in Cassville, Missouri, Blake.
Right?
Yeah.
People
that
got
was,
shoved in lockers for
right.
a lot less than that.
Oh, yeah,
was
that's
probably
true.
a little too gay for Missouri.
None of that singing or
Like-
happiness here.
Yeah. Don't have emotions. Those don't
Who
exist.
the hell
you
are you?
man.
Just drink Bud Light.
You need to suppress your emotions with a
eyeballs.
mix of alcohol and.
Your parents didn't put whiskey in your bottle?
Actually, let
You're
me
not
tell
a
you.
real man.
Okay, so actually, you want to? I got a story. I was 7 years old. My dad used to dip, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
just take chew and whatever, and he used to do that.
Yeah, we got it.
He was a cowboy.
Not a bluey.
Yeah. And this was my Bluey moment growing up, and this is why I will never compete with that dog because my role model sucked. But anyway, so I walk up to my dad and I'm like, "Dad, what's that?" And I'm 7, right? And he's hanging out with all the like cowboys. And my dad was a huge cowboy. He used to team rope and shit. And he was like, that's Chews, son." And I'm like, "Why do you do that?" And he's like, "I don't know. I like it." I was like, "Can I try it?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Oh no.
And I go, "All right." And so I was like, "How do I do this?" And he's like, "Well, you take a handful." And so I'm a child, take a
So you're
handful.
going like with some Levi Garrett stuff. You're not going with like the skull.
No, it's
Like
skull.
full leaf. Oh, okay. Oh,
It,
handful of
it,
skull.
like chopped, fine cut, take a
Long cut.
pinch, put it in your cheek, skull. And I take a child-sized handful of this skull, which is about half a can. And he's like, "Yeah, it's great. Just
Oh
pop
no.
that in your mouth."
Put a damn horseshoe in at
He's like,
7 years old.
"Hey, no, no, it's not a horseshoe. It's a fucking grenade that he's telling me to put in my mouth."
It's just
And
a
so he's
mouse.
like,
pull
but
the
he
hooks
doesn't even
down.
tell me. He's like, "Don't pull your lip." He's like, just pop that in your mouth, and then chew on it. And when the flavor's gone, go ahead and give it a swallow. And I'm like,
This is not a Bluey moment at all.
"No, they did not do this on Bluey." And then so I'm like, "Okay," and I try. It's like wintergreen, so it's like Wrigley's, but it tastes bad. And I'm like, "This is kind of gross." And he's like, "Yeah, just keep chewing. It'll, but do you feel it tingling?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why we all like it. Now go ahead and, it's probably out of by about now. You go ahead and take a swallow." I immediately turn green and start vomiting, and my dad stands over me and he's like, "Never chew! That's why you don't chew! Remember what this feels like!"
Was your dad Johnny Knoxville?
More or less, yeah. I mean, that's
Nice.
that's cowboy love right there. That happened.
Yeah.
Oh, God, dude.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
So
terrifying.
You don't
This-
chew now, though.
no, I don't. I actually
I'd call
like.
that a parenting win.
Well, actually, the better thing was like my dad used to like anybody who chews. You guys have friends who chew or anything like that? Anybody do that around you guys?
That was a big thing back in North Carolina.
Okay. So when people chew, they always look for something to spit in, and they usually have like a bottle that like a 20 ounce or something, and then they put it down or whatever. Back in the day, we had Coke cans. That was all there was just Coke cans. And so what my dad would do is he would take he'd usually take a pocket knife, cut the top off of the Coke can, put it in his truck, spit in that, put it back, right? Like, and then put it back. So he had like a spittoon riding shotgun with him. And sometimes if he didn't have his pocket knife, he'd just right into the just can of Coke or whatever. And if you're a child and you have a
I feel
real
like I see where
Coke
this is going.
and you have it sitting in this cup holder and he has a spit cup that is in a Coke can sitting right next to it, more than once did I drink out of a spit cup and then immediately vomited.
Done
Like
that before.
Ugh.
that was more of a effective deterrent to me not ever wanting to chew than anything else. Like,
The Bojangles sweet tea styrofoam, like 32-ounce styrofoam cup, got me more than once.
mm.
People spitting in that thing, keep it in their center console, and
So like,
Ugh.
yeah, chewing to me is just like one of the most I can't because of those experiences. Like it grosses me the fuck out, and I've tried it. Like, so I used to smoke cigarettes, so it didn't actually work in terms of keeping me off nicotine altogether. But there was a period of time where I smoked cigarettes. I quit like almost
Yeah,
a
I
decade
can see
ago.
this kind of backfiring where you're like, oh, I don't like that taste, but hoo do I feel nice.
No, I didn't really do that.
Chase
Nicotine
this dragon
buzz.
the rest of my life.
No, 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 no. I didn't really do that. This is more like I had friends in high school that were bad influences, and they're like,
Okay.
"We're smoking," and then I'm like, "I'll try," and then I hated it, and then I liked it because you do it more than once and you get addicted or whatever. But
you give in to peer pressure until you
yeah.
get addicted.
So I chucked the cigarettes, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I need something, but I don't want to smoke, so I'm gonna try the nicotine thing, and I'll do like a pack of that shit. Never did it stick with me because like my mouth is completely consumed at that point. Like you can't do anything. You can't eat anything. You can't drink anything. And if you do drink shit, like that's
Can
well, you can,
if
but
you're a
it's
master dip and sipper.
yeah, but I'm not. And so it's super gross because you just feel like you're like choking
Are
down
you
shit that
on
makes you
like the
nauseous.
Marlboro Outreach Board, Gensos? What are you
No,
doing down there?
I just grew up in southern North Carolina, which is all southern, but
Or
I had a lot
northern
of
South Carolina. It
yeah. We
really
used
kind
to
of gets gray in there.
I don't know. We got fancy with it in college. We would go to like the tobacco shop and had our pipes and like we would
But
buy
see,
the
like
cha there.
in college, I smoked a pipe, like a
Yeah.
legit old man pipe that you.
Yeah,
That was
it's
cool.
great.
I like cigars still. I can do that, but
I'll choose some Levi Garrett. I don't like Skull. I don't like Long Cut, but I'll have like the big, like the actual cha, like chew big leaf tobacco. What's the other one? Levi Garrett, and then I haven't done it in so long. The other
like
one,
fine, no man. I've never even heard of
Red
Levi
Man.
Garrett. Redman, I
Red,
have heard of.
Red
Okay,
Man.
yeah, I know Redman.
Levi Garrett's like kind of like Red Man, but it's a little sweeter. It's like between the not sweet and the sweet Red Man. They had this one at the tobacco shop back in North Carolina. It was Georgia peach. It tasted like some peaches. It's
Okay,
delicious.
all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
I don't know.
like, there's a whole, I don't know, whatever out there, and like I said, my experience, very, it's not gonna make Nick Jr. or whatever. Is
No,
Bluey
I was
Nick
just
Jr. or Disney Plus?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't know. My kid finds it, but I really just got more into black tar heroin when I was in high school, and that was kind of my my thing.
That was your thing.
That actually connects a lot of dots for me.
Yeah, which dots does it connect you? Father?
No, how Jinso's got to
Larry?
where he is now, like today.
Yeah.
That's why a website costs $5,000
Yeah,
is because
I was trying
that's
to
how
find
you're supporting your heroin habit. It all makes
Exactly.
sense now.
Heroin's expensive.
You
know?
should have just led with that, man. Just be like, Blake, I am jonesing for heroin.
I just need.
Let me build your website. I'm chasing the dragon, and I'm almost
I
gonna
need
catch
to
it.
inject a Fabergé egg into my asshole.
Oh,
tonight.
Chasing the Dragon Marketing is actually the name of our company.
That actually would be a really great name.
It would
you-
be.
It,
We can rebrand.
it appeals
Sounds
to
good.
I'm just saying, it appeals to everybody, and universal. So
Yeah,
it
people
goes
that
against
don't
the
know what it
opposite of what
is.
you were saying earlier. It's universal, and actually it'll work, like Walmart. You got it. You've struck gold, man. Hurry up, rebrand.
It's deal. It's done.
All right. Welcome to Chasing the Dragon podcast, anonymous. It's too late. We already took it. It's ours now.
Damn it.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna do a Patreon shout out, then we'll wrap it up for this week.
I've
Thank
got
you.
a thing.
Oh,
to
do your
request
thing. What's your
once,
thing?
No, so like I really want to do this roast thing. So like we didn't get to it tonight,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't give a shit. Maybe we put it out to, whoever still listens to us be idiots for an hour. Write in who you want to have us roast.
Yeah,
If
who
if
you want
donate
roasted?
$20, you probably are the winner. The first one that does that.
Ooh, that's a
We'll
good
roast
thing.
The shit out of your champion.
Oh, by the way, nobody has taken me up on the Blake has to play something shitty in ranked thing, which I'm kind of happy about. So,
Hey, Blake, by the way, I don't care who. I don't care if the number of people that listened to your corn ASMR was exactly one. I fucking loved it.
oh, I
You were the
actually,
only one, Ash.
so I
Horrendously
actually,
uncomfortable it was the
It was
entire
beautiful,
time.
oh man, it was pretty raw. But no, actually, I wanted to redo that video because I got an idea, right? Of like, so I watched an Olive. I don't know how to say the girl's name, Olive or Olive May or whatever. She used to be on the LCS, and then she
Yeah,
did
yeah,
like
I know what you're
Universal
talking about.
content.
We all know who you're talking about.
She did ASMR about anime and just made different anime sounds, and you were trying to guess
But
what anime it was.
Okay.
And she would do like this, and then a clip of her doing something, a different one, then a clip of her doing something else, mash them together into a video, right?
It
It's
sounds
like-
You want to do
less
that
funny than
with
the corn
bullshit
video.
Lola podcast memes.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I could totally do this with like, I also somebody hit a falcon right out in front of my house, so there's a dead falcon that I could just grab right now. It's right over there. You
Chasing the
know,
Falcon podcast.
it'd be like just it'd be like I hold up corn, and then in the next still I'm holding up a dead falcon.
Jesus.
And
Wait,
they're
you
like,
might not want to have a dead falcon in your house. I
they're
feel
like, hey,
that's
guess what this falcon's
Might be
cause of
disease.
death is? Listen to the podcast in episode 298 or whatever.
Well, I
That'd
was
be
just
But
very
thinking more.
confusing, but you will get people listening because
yeah,
that's an absurd thing to say.
yeah, there you go. So anyway, let's see who we gonna shout out to today. Shout out to I don't know, man. I keep thinking every time I come up with a name, I'm like, I feel like I've shouted out to this guy before. So I don't want to shout out to a guy I've shouted out to before. You know, that would just be embarrassing. Uh,
Nothing else we've said tonight is embarrassing.
yeah, I know.
That
We're
would be the
doing
only
real
embarrassing
well.
Yep.
Um,
Nope.
all right. Shout now, damn it. I definitely have shouted out to that dude before. Shout out to John Fay. That's a new name.
John
This
Fay.
episode's for you, John Fay. Thank you. And sorry that this was your episode. Because we didn't cover
That was
shit.
a great episode.
Yeah, we didn't cover shit for 19 minutes. And that's for you, John. Because
Oh, this is why
uh,
he donated. This is what he
yeah,
came for.
you
Yeah,
enabled us to do
Yeah,
this.
exactly this.
So please don't regret your life decisions, and thank you
John
again.
doesn't regret anything with his strong jawline and positive demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're
He's
right.
Bluey's cousin, I heard.
For Bluey's dad's.
He's
nephew,
probably one of the
step
writers
nephew.
for Bluey's dad. The best goddamn parent there is.
Yeah, he
one
has an
would think.
Australian accent. I know that.
Yeah, he does. He's the Helmsworth of our supporters, really. So, good. So yeah, actually, guys, podcast is starting to dip in Patreon support. I would definitely like it if people would, if you feel the need to support the podcast, if you like what we're doing, and you want to contribute literally any amount of money, even if it's $1, help us out. I would appreciate that. Like if
Or
everybody,
many dollars.
or yeah, or many dollars, that would be great too.
Yeah, or
Like
you
I said,
you could get us up to 100 again and
Alright.
have Blake do something ridiculous.
yeah, $20. You can pick next week's roast target if anybody wants to hit whoever is the first to donate $20 and send us a champion name on the Discord, or
We will spend a half
Yeah.
hour absolutely
we'll
demolishing that.
we'll
champion.
rip a champion up. That's what we'll do for you next week, or whenever it becomes convenient for us to do it in the near future. Not gonna lock in next week because I know how this works, and so like
Actually, I'm in Minnesota until the 11th. So
Okay,
I
so
will
it'll
not
be-
a part of the roast.
yeah, I got by the way, just so you guys know, I have a jury trial coming up next week, and Brad's gonna be in town in Cassville, so we may or may not record an episode next week. Actually, Brad's gonna be in town next week, and then I have a jury trial starting on the 12th and 13th.
For Brad?
No. Brad was not indicted
That's
in
what
Missouri.
you would say, Blake. You wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to tell me.
I
if
can't
he
tell you.
was.
Can't tell you one way or the other. Could
yeah.
be.
Just out here fishing for
Brad
the
good
other
luck.
guys.
But yeah, Adept is coming to town. We're gonna play in a golf tournament, and so I probably
Get the
won't be
fuck
here
outta
to
here.
record
You
next
golf?
week. Yeah, Brad and I do now.
I didn't know you golfed.
I mean, I'm not
It was
great.
last week when we joined the tournament.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
great, but I got a rousing speech from Bluey's dad. How if I just try, I'll be the best golfer out there in my heart.
Yeah, well.
And that's all
man
that
knows how to do
matters.
it. Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, I'm going to give that a go. And then the week after that,
Cartoon
I have a
Coach
jury
Ryan.
trial. So, typically, without me being directly involved, the podcast gets produced irregularly. So, I'm not going to guarantee you that it's going to be next week or even the week after that, but we'll make it happen.
All right,
So,
Blake, you're on my bucket list. We're golfing at some point in my lifetime.
do it to it. I'm in. By the way, how's the life change to not, job shift and everything treating you? You doing good?
Well, yeah, I start my master's program at the end of this month, and I really needed a break from the work I was doing, and it was really good to be able to go back to him and like be friends again, and not, boss employee.
Hmm.
Um, so it was a much needed break. I'm feeling good. Got in a lot more exercise. Got in a lot more miles on my bike. I just feel a lot healthier. It's nice.
Do you really feel like you need a degree in being handsome? With as handsome as you clearly are, I mean, don't people just kind of get that?
Just freelance.
Just
In
freelance
this
handsome.
economy, that no one looks at you. They just look at your degree, man. Can't freelance it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
This economy, you got to keep their eyes up here. You know, that's what you got
Just
to
have your
do.
wife start a company.
Like, nope, I'm up here.
No, she works for the Pentagon, so I don't think that's happening anytime
Oh,
soon.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, in your fucking face, Jinzos.
My wife only works for the Quadrilateral, so
Yeah, my wife
I hate
works.
you so much.
My
I
wife
have
works for
accepted
the.
every dad joke up to this point. I fucking hate you.
That was. I just caught up with that joke, and that's terrible. That's a terrible fucking joke.
I can't be positive anymore. You've broken me.
No, that's fucking. That was an awful
It's
joke.
alright. No one's listening now, anyways.
Yeah, this is
They
over.
stopped
It's
listening 30 minutes
yeah.
ago.
They
Yeah.
gave up on
Well,
us some
we
time
lost them
ago.
when Blake sincerely asked me how I was doing as a person.
Well, I want to know, and I'm sure it
Nobody
would be
cares about that,
interested to
Blake.
people.
People just want us to make fun of each other and say
I
things
mean,
about
fuck,
like
man.
corn and stupid
Like,
stuff like that.
League Cast talks about their day all the fucking time, and they go
Yeah.
way too long with that shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
I
they're
just-
actually
I
interesting.
literally asked Ash, who's been gone for like 3 months, how you been? Sorry,
awesome.
assholes, if
Alright,
that's
but
not
here's the
kosher
point
for
of it.
you, listener. Have a soul, you know?
I started lifting heavy weights, and now I drop 300-yard bombs down the fairway. That's how it's been going.
I bet you
That's
can
not
throw
even
the,
exaggeration.
I
That's
bet you can
real.
throw
It's
that
fucking
football over
great.
that mountain.
Quarter mile, baby.
By the way, I watched Napoleon Dynamite again with my wife recently.
Yeah.
That movie does not hold up.
I could see it not aging super
It
well.
is just sad. Like, I watch it, I just feel
Yeah.
bad for this dude, like the entire movie. It's not.
Yeah, when you're not just out of high school, where breathing is an insecurity, watching that movie is not fun.
Yeah, man, that's just like this kid's life is rough, and he dances like a badass.
He does.
I will say that.
He
That kid's
does
a
dance
hell of a
well.
dancer. All right, wrapping this thing up because we've gone way off the rails. So thank you, listeners, and good night,
That's right.
everybody.
Nighty night.
All right. Quality
Wasn't
episode, fellas.
That wasn't the worst podcast that's ever happened.
Oh, no, definitely not. We've had
No, it's
so
pretty
much worse podcasts
That was fun.
than that. By the way, we're still streaming this. This is going on the YouTube right
Yeah,
now.
of course.
Like, this part is still going.
It has
This
to.
is a
I would say
YouTuber.
it's in the top
Yeah.
80% of
Is-
podcasts.
This is a YouTube moment. Oh, you think it's that high?
No, like it's at least 20% above 0%.
Oh, so what?
Like, it's like the top.
How
like,
is your shit working here? I'm
it's
not.
the top 80% of podcasts. Like 80%. There's only been 20% worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in the bottom. It is in the 20th percentile, is what you're saying.
Or higher.
Okay.
It's the top 80%. Like if it was the top 20%, that would mean it was 80% or high, 80th percentile or higher.
I follow you, sort of, but the way in which you are putting this together makes.
I mean, how else do you say it?
You'd say like, this is as good as 1/5 of the podcast we've ever done.
It's as good as 4/5 of the podcast we were done.
Oh, you're saying it's in the top 80% rather than the bottom fifth.
You guys are talking circles around each other.
It's
and making my
20% or
head
higher.
Okay.
I think Jensen is trying very hard to say that this was a good podcast. We could leave it at that.
It
I'm
was like-
good with leaving it at that.
I
Like,
think it
it's
was almost mediocre.
excellent. Let's play
Well, now
League
it
of
sounds like
Legends.
the bottom 20%.
Yeah, now you're back to the bottom of the barrel. What is this? Like a soapy
know what I'm saying.
dishwater podcast at this point. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.